Self-determination's theory on relatedness is a tool that you can use to convert casual viewers to fans to increase your watch time, views, and audience retention. Today we'll be discussing 7 easy methods to up your relatedness, and we'll do this by talking about the content creators Dodger, Tara Babcock, and Naomi. So, let's begin with the idea of what is relatedness exactly? Well, it's this idea of you and I connecting. This human need to have an emotional understanding and connection to belong. So there's a couple ways that you can easily cause this connection to occur. Let's take, for example, this is an option. What is this an option that I'm referring to? Well, let's pretend that I'm going to be going live and I have up in the corner some stuff that's involving Dodger. Well, this is pretty cool. Now, as I'm talking to you and gesticulating and stuff like that, this is also going to be an option. But is this more or less connected to you? Am I a better relation kind of person when I'm not on screen, or am I better when I am here? Alternatively, what happens if I get quiet? Really, you can be more or less relatable when you have things like a face cam, when you have things like your voice existing on screen. In fact, those are some of the most simple, easy ways to start with this. But I want you to take an opportunity and look back on those couple seconds and think about what thing felt like you connected most to me like. Did you feel that you were more connected to me because you could hear my voice? Or was it because you could see my face? So that's thing one of what connectedness is, really, is you should have a face cam. If you want to do any form of relatedness as a focus, you don't need to. I let 2 people who don't even have their voice in the videos. But face cam is one of the nicest things and easiest ways to start off having some relatedness exist. Sharing your voice is another really important one. And what we're going to do now is we're going to jump in and start talking a little bit about how Dodger does it. So if you guys don't know who Dodger is a very popular live streamer. If you can hear a little back stuff in the moment, I'm just going to lower that so that you guys don't worry about it. So Dodger is an individual who has a very popular show. She has an anime kind of style thing. She talks about video games. She also plays video games here. You can see that she has a screen and a face cam, and if you guys can hear, her voice is going through. I actually don't know if it's carrying through at the moment. But she talks about her games and her experiences and while she's playing them. She also has a second thing that's set up, all the way focused on talking to fans. So this is an individual thing that is just her full screen, completely. That's how she does this. She comes on and she just converses with everybody in a giant face screen. And the thing that is really cool about this is that it creates an opportunity for her to get to know her audience. So when we're talking about relatedness and this experience of having a face cam, having your voice go through, and then showing yourself in such a massive way, builds a connectivity. Now, one of the things to keep in mind about Dodger is that out of everyone who I'll be talking about today, she's actually the least optimized for gaming. Yes, she does have the screen. She also has, let's see, I'm in the way of it right now, so let me pop off screen real quick. She also has in the corner this little cat thing that pops up every once in a while. Let's see if we can find it real quick. Oh, look, that's an adorable cat. We'll grab it when it pops up again later. But she has branding that's based around what she calls the cat gang. So when you join her, you become part of the cat gang. So let's talk back to these things. This is another option, another thing that works. It's the ability to interact with people and say, hey, I am welcoming you to my group and I've named the audience. Cat gang. Every single other person we'll talk about today will also be naming their audience. Another thing that was very cool about what she did is the up-close face discussion of who you are in talking. It's one of the reasons why we do stuff like this, and I ask you guys, well, how was your day? What's going on? What are you feeling about? And trying to be open, because it allows that more increased interaction. So these kind of panels and stuff allow her to have that branding exist. Oh, there's a cat right there popping up the side. Welcome to the cat gang has been introduced. So it's something that makes it so when you join her audience and you join her group, she's now given you a name. She's also interested in who you are. And she just dabbed in the corner. That was funny. And then she's playing the game. But let's let's take this for an opportunity, because what makes... I'm going to pause here for a second because the dabbing is distracting. So when we're talking about a community that's built off of these things, the thing is that she is the least optimized. And the reason why I mention that is because her show here isn't actually what brings in the fans to keep watching her. She has another show. I mentioned this earlier. She talks about anime, video games, and that builds up that initial relatedness. People don't convert to Dodger here. They convert to Dodger at that show. Now, this means something very specific, which is that when she's doing this show, it's about creating a casual environment. That's what she cares about. When you watch this, she says, hey, how are you doing? Oh, go ahead and talk to me about how to play better. You know, it's like, don't worry about backseat gaming, but don't be a dickweed while doing so. If you want to flirt or something in chat, that's fine. But once again, don't be a dickweed. And we're just here having some coffee and having a good time. In fact, she's playing on easiest difficulty, and people are giving her general tips and help. This is not, and I will say again, this is not a typical, I'm going to build an audience live stream. Normally, there's something else that's related to that, where it's like, oh, I'm going to have the hardest difficulty or something like that. But no, that doesn't matter, because people already like her. They've already crossed the barrier that makes it so that this content's enjoyable. It's kind of like the experience where if people like you, then they're going to forgive a lot of stuff because they just like being with you. It's like how you can spend time doing nothing with a best friend, but have a really shitty time doing something that you generally like with someone you don't really know or don't really connect with. Having an increased amount of relatedness through talking to people, sharing your face, sharing your voice, sharing yourself, helps improve the connection. But what we learn from this particular one in this design is that if you were trying to copy this style, you probably wouldn't be able to create much of a connectedness initially, because this doesn't really have a pull, something to hook people in. But since she already has a show designed to do that, where she focuses on the SEO, the competency, and all the other stuff we talked about last week, then you have a situation where you're able to convert people from that show to this one. There's another thing that I really like that Dodger does here too. If you pay attention to her talking, and I try to do this too, she will look into the camera. The experience of someone looking into the camera is a very emotional one because it feels like someone's looking into your eyes. She just did it there. It feels like someone's looking into your eyes when they're talking to you. As a human being, having eye contact is an incredibly emotional, satisfactory, fun moment for you. You remember it, and it makes you feel like the person's talking to you. So when you're talking to people in this, make sure to look into the camera, especially when you're doing this. It's on this side. When you're doing this moment, look into the camera, because that is an opportunity for people to feel like you're looking at them. I'm trying to do it now. It's hard because I want to look at my notes, I want to look at the screen, I want to bounce everywhere. But this is a real connective moment. And similarly, it's a little quiet right now, but if you hear her talk, she will say the names. Hello, crypto guys. I saw that you came in earlier. It was great to see a rain. Tags Are Dumb is also in chat. It was good to see you as well. Happy Tuesday. Quoting and saying your names is another thing that helps bring the relatedness up, especially when I'm looking at you guys whilst I'm doing so. So we'll try to catch another one where she's looking. She has gorgeous eyes, so that absolutely has an effect where it's kind of an arresting moment. But it's something that is true for every single streamer and whatnot, that if you give it a moment to look at the person, to really connect to them, that will increase your relatedness. And that is what keeps people coming back, is once you start having that. So let's do a little circle back here. What is making this a lovely person stick as someone who people really like? Well, I mean, not only does she share her voice, but she's spending time talking to her audience. And while she's doing so, she's creating an intimate setting. It's this giant screen that she's doing with it. So you don't necessarily need to exactly copy this, but every single person that we are going to be talking about today has an intimate setting. They spend time talking to their audience. They have a strict set of rules. Now, we'll explain that one a little bit more because Dodgers is a bit more laxed, but it will become more clear as we start talking about the differences. And this is another wonderful one too, which is that Dodger provides a model on how she acts when she's talking to y'all. Specifically, and we'll explain that a little bit more clearly in a moment, specifically, she has her personality setting the tone. But what does that mean for her compared to someone like Tara Babcock? Now, I'm a little bit in the way on this one, so I'm going to scoot out of the way for you guys to see her, because she prefers the same side of the screen that I do. So pop this out of the way, scoot me over. Actually, it doesn't really matter anymore. Tara Babcock is one of the streamers who likes to focus on building relatedness, not just through communication, but also through sort of a sexual arousal kind of thing. Right now, though, she's using a cat. And this is another amazing thing to build relatedness, is you create a connection between people on something that you both share. In this case, if everybody likes cats a lot, well then they'll both connect to the cat ownership that Tara Babcock has. But as you can see, she also brings up this sort of sex appeal part of it, which is absolutely, once again, part of relatedness. She's a very sex-positive stream, as well as being interested in gaming. Here's some more of her branding. If you can imagine that the cat gamer situation at Dodger in this way, where now she's has that different thing, that her facial reaction with that was because that was extra loud, and she was like, oh god! And so it had a very funny moment when on screen. So, one thing that's related to this, and now I'm once again in the way of part of her appeal that she's trying to create, is by creating a sex-positive stream, she's allowing her fans to express a part of themselves that isn't always a part of streaming. A lot of times on streams, you'll have things that are a little bit more focused on, like, the gameplay, a little bit more focused on things related to just the person talking to you, but there isn't always this opportunity to express a sexual side of yourself. And that's something that is human. We like having crushes on attractive people. We like being with attractive people. So having someone who actually is able to take that and create a sex-positive environment is strong. In fact, let's take a second moment of this, though. Because that sexual side of her and that kind of thing is what I meant when I was talking about, that's the wrong image, is the thing that I was talking about when I was saying that you want to be providing a model on how to act. That's literally right in her face. So the idea of providing a model on how to act is you are your number one audience member. You're the one who lets people know, how do you ask questions? How do you push? How do you say, oh, okay, I'm sorry? You're the one who sets those standards in how you act. Dodger does not dress like this. Dodger does not constantly talk about sex in her stuff. She does talk about flirting and having fun and being, liking coffee. So that becomes more of the ethos of what she's discussing. Tara is talking about more sex, more things around that relationship, and that builds up a different community. So how is this related to relatedness? All 100%. They're approaching people differently, and thus they will bring in different people. Now, this is the conversation where I was saying about having a line in the sand. So this is the strict set of rules, which is literally in front of her face. This is the idea of having something where you as a creator are saying, I want to have a very specific style of type of content, of who I am as a person, and I want you as my viewership to relate to that. So when you're with Tara Babcock, you can talk about boning. When you're with Dodger, you can talk about that you had a good time, but not boning specifically. And thus they're beginning to separate the types of people that go to the channel. Whether this is people who are into having sex, whether it's people who are not into having sex, could be a split. But it's not caused by anything that they're doing on like specific design, but it's on how they're themselves represented. So they themselves set this representation and they then attract the type of person. Sorry, this is too easy. People who like pussy? Sorry, that was too easy of one. But the thing is like, when you are in a channel, pay attention to the way that they generate their personality and their ethos. You can see that they have a certain eagerness, or they have a certain I don't care, or they have something that makes them laugh, something that they consider is worth sharing on multiple levels constantly. That is what builds up that actual relatedness. It's not something magical necessarily. Now really, those techniques that we talked about, face cam, having an intimate setting, sharing your voice, sharing your emotions, talking to people, saying their name, looking into the camera when you're talking to them, those things build the relatedness. But the linchpin is that Tara Babcock is the individual who actually sets what it means to be on her channel. Dodger is who actually sets what it means to be on her channel. You talk to Dodger, it's about being on easiest. It's about taking a chill pill. It's about hanging out and just chilling and talking this way. You're hanging out with Tara, it's about being sexy, being sex positive, having a good time. And generally, in her style, she also has a show like Dodger that is focused more on sort of the building of an audience via... She specifically actually will review sex toys and sex objects and share that. And then she will vlog on sexual themes and stuff like that. And so she builds relatedness similarly and then brings those audiences to these screens. The reason why that is important to take into consideration is for both of them, they transfer the relatedness from a main piece of content over to the content that they're playing now. This is their laid back version of themselves. You can have access to the business side, and now this side is just that we're having a good time and being more personable. So, to make sure that I've covered this correctly, have a face cam if you want to increase relatedness. Have a voice talking if you want to increase your relatedness in that. When you're talking to people, look into the camera. Say their name. Ask them how they're doing. Create an intimate setting that is focused on how people are doing before you go live, or during, or however you end up doing it, but that is an important part to allow connection between you. Because if people like you, then they will watch more of your stuff, regardless of how good it really is if they like you. You can be like Dodger and Tara and have a show that exists that builds up relatedness and then brings it over to their gaming channel. Or you can have someone a little bit more like Naomi, who has just a gaming channel. Now, Naomi is right now singing, so I want to see if I can get this through you guys, because I think it's actually really important to expressing who she is as a person. So I'm going to disappear off the mic for a second.
Hello, can you hear me? I am wondering if after all these phone streams you're still here to watch my stream. Yep, you guys are here. All right.
So Naomi comes at everything with a very goofy personality. She is not here to talk about, sex or life stuff necessarily in the same way. She's going to be coming in here to goof off, to be that bird in the corner. Like, the way her branding works is immediately she's coming in and being like, oh no, I'm a goofy, dancy bird. I'm not going to be Tara Babcock, where I have this relatedness from talking about sex. In fact, on her channel, one of her rules is, don't flirt with me. I'm uninterested. Dodger doesn't have that rule, but there's the don't be a dickweed version of it. Now, really, Naomi has the most quality stream from a gamer perspective. She is generally putting herself up full screen like this. I'm right in her face. I cannot win with all these people who keep moving around their faces. She's an individual who puts her face right up front. And the idea for this is that you actually see a lot more of her facial reactions and her behavior, and it's connected a lot more into the stream than Tara's or Dodger's is. Dodger's has this sharp thing. I also have this sharp thing because I'm trying to separate from what's happening on screen a little bit. I'm not part of this stream, I'm presenting it. Naomi is part of her stream, so she is integrated directly and really focuses on her face. You also saw in the beginning she created that intimate setting. She was goofy, she shared her personality, she has her in-game version of this, and she has her stupid little bird dance thing, which is part of her branding. Gotta love the bird dance thing though, not ragging on it, I think it's sick. But one of the major points of this, and this version of this, is that each one of these content creators are doing the same goddamn things. They all have that intimacy, they all take that moment to talk to everybody, they all have their screen, they all have their face, they all show it slightly differently, but they all do it. Even if you don't have a show that is directly related to building relatedness and then transferring over to your gaming, you can be successful like Naomi is because she's using the relatedness plus a more of a hardcore gaming experience to build up a reason to watch Naomi because it's goofy funny. It's not as casual laid back as Dodger's. She makes more of an effort to connect to people on screen. It's not as focused on Tara's branding all over the place, which is like, I'm Tara. It's about Naomi bringing you into the game. So each one of them does split their experiences a bit, but they all do it in the same damn fucking ways. So, God, I hope that doesn't kill anybody who's watching right now and getting weirded out from the sudden shaky shakes of the camera. So, taking into consideration, let's go back through the same steps again. The same 7, the same things in that regard, and I will point them out once again through all 3 people. But I really want to make this point that they take all the same camera angles. You have Naomi's face. You have Naomi up front singing at people. You have Tara Babcock right behind me at the moment, but you have her face and you have her above me. I'm currently censoring her. And then you have Hype, which is not specifically what I'm going for, but you have her face, and then you have her in the corner. And each one of these scenes that I'm grabbing are all from the same sections of the streams. Introduction, how are you? Let's talk for a while. Here is the game. Now we're going to play it and we're going to pull back to it. Each one of these are focusing on these different forms of frames in order to make these connections. So, once again, walking through everything to make sure that it's nice and stuck in y'all faces. Let's talk about how it's good to have a face cam. I think that you guys should do this if you're really caring about relatedness. Specifically, if you're streaming, I think it's super important. If you're not streaming, I don't know how important it is, because I see some channels do really well without it. But the thing is, streaming's all about chat interaction. You sharing your voice with them, right? How was your day? Oh, it's good. Cool. I'm talking back directly to you. You're spending time talking with them. It really sucks if it's just an empty face on the side thing, right? Creating an intimate session like this. Hold on, before we talk about that, I didn't mean to click that part. So far, spend time talking with audience. It is a lot better when you have your face there versus when it's like this. This kind of sucks. So, if you're going to be spending that time, you want to give people something to look at. This is our intimate setting. It's big, it's focused. It's not about what's happening in the game. It's about happening now. Now, boop. Provide them on how to act. That's the one where you come and you let people know what's good, what's not good, based upon how they're acting on screen. If I'm Dodger, come and drink some coffee, let's talk about whatever, but we're chill. You know, we're playing this on easiest. We're not really trying to destroy everything. We're just having a good time. I'm Tara Babcock. I want to make sure that everybody is experiencing their full sexual side without having any form of judgment put on them in a negative way. Also, we're going to play some video games because they're fun. These are the ones I want to play. Or I'm Naomi. I'm here to just have an amazing time, kick some ass while I'm at it, and be goofy and really keep the show going, because it's not about hanging out here as much of this relatedness thing as I'm building up that you're going to like me because it's just fun to watch because I'm an entertainment. That's her kind of Naomi style. Look into the camera. Hi. Say the name of the person you're talking to. I see Tabs is talking. I see Cryptos is talking. And let's see. High Distortion and Dakotas don't use one, but probably because they... maybe. I don't know. I've never met the people. But say the name of the person you're responding to is very good. And that is the group of 5 stuff. So if you guys have sat around here, thank you so much for coming by. Remember that audience retention, views, and watch time can be increased by creating a more relatable experience, by becoming a more relatable person on your stream. If you want to learn some more and check out some other live streams, go ahead and click down here. And if you want to hear the question and answer section of this stream, go ahead and click around up here. You've been wonderful. Kublai Khan lessons at 8 p.m. PST. Thanks for coming by. See you.